Alright, so in this video, I'm going to share with you a little bit about masking tape, the types that I've used before, in case you are just starting to look into buying some or you've had trouble previously purchasing masking tape and having it rip the paper off when you remove it. So the first thing is why would you use masking tape? So there are two reasons I use masking tape. And the first is using this skinny tape in order to create grids in case I'm painting a color mixing chart like this. It makes it really easy. I don't have to draw the boxes. I just tape out the grid and then I can paint inside of the boxes really easily and just remove the tape afterwards. The other reason I use masking tape is to tape down a big painting, especially if I'm working with lots of layers and working with a lot of water. I just tape the edges. One makes a really clean border, and the second thing is that it keeps the paper down while it's warping and buckling under the water, and it allows it to dry flat or as flat as possible. So those are the reasons why you would want to use masking tape and why I use masking tape. So you have already seen probably blue painter's tape, and they sell this in different widths. This one I think is 1/4 inch, and this is really perfect for things like the grids because it allows you to create these skinny lines. And I like this blue masking tape for those reasons. But I used to use the thicker version of this, the 1 inch, to do the borders of my paintings, and I really felt like the color was very distracting, and I think some people feel the same way. And so I switched to a white tape, and this was almost a little bit of an accident because I had a roll of white tape from my college days that I used actually for a book binding class I took. And so I finished that roll, and then I had to find a new roll. And I noticed that when I was using that, I really liked the white because it didn't detract from the actual painting. And so I wanted to find another roll of white masking tape that would work. And I went on to Blick Art, and they had their Blick Art masking tape, and it just says Pro Artist Tape. It looks pretty generic, and I actually went on a different art supply website called Mr. Art and bought their white artist tape, and it turned out it was the same one. And so that's really interesting to me. So basically this is just called Pro Artist Tape, and you can find it seems like on multiple manufacturers' websites. So again, this roll, the first roll I bought, was actually bought off Blick Arts, and on their website it's called Blick Artist Tape, I believe. And this one is just some generic white masking tape I bought from Mr. Art. Turns out they're the same brand. So this one works really well, and I just wanted to share it with you because I have used it, and I've used it multiple times on Arch's paper, on Saunders Waterford paper, and it hasn't ripped my paper, and I just think it's been pretty good. And I want to show you how I tape my paper down in case you're curious how to use this and maybe what it looks like. I think you've probably seen it in some videos by now, but just so that you can see kind of my method of taping it down. So the first thing is you're going to want to have some sort of board. You can use Gator board, which is a very hard version of foam core. You could use a panel that's an MDF panel. You can buy those from a lot of art supply stores, and this one I actually got from Blick. It's just like a wooden panel, but it's a little thicker. So there are also acrylic boards, so it really depends on what you have. And when I have this tape, and if you have tape that you've noticed has been ripping your paper, one tip is to pull it out and then put it down on your pants or your shirt to take off some of the tack, and then put your tape down onto your paper. But like this one, I've never had problems with, so I don't do that. I just go straight down onto the paper. So I just eyeball it. And what's really nice when you're doing like edge to edge paintings is you can change the proportion of your painting just with tape. So if I wanted a skinnier, kind of more vertical painting, I could actually put the tape closer to the inside, put a second piece to the left, and then do the same on the right, and I would end up with a long skinny rectangle versus more of a rectangle, traditional rectangle. So that's just another tip too, that you can use tape to create a different frame. But we're just going to go around the edge kind of evenly. So I just eyeball it, and in real life you'll be able to see this, but there's a little bit of a shadow line once you place your top edge down, and you'll be able to sort of move the tape back and forth like this. Oh, let's reline this up. You'll move it back and forth until you feel like it's straight. You can kind of see that you're looking for this edge of the tape and the edge of the paper to be parallel to each other. So you can sort of eyeball it and you see that it's good, and then you can lay it down. And I didn't mention this before, but I always do the long sides usually first to get the long edges done, and then I do the short edges. So once it looks pretty straight, I just kind of lay it down, and then I make sure to run my finger not only on the top edge of the paper, but also down here on the board, because there's a level change. And I just rip it. And then I'll do the second edge. So same thing, I just sort of eyeball it to make sure it's sort of even with that side. Press down the top edge, and then I can shift this around, and I can sort of, oops, go back here. And then I can sort of see where the edge, when I get the tape close to the paper, I can see the shadow. And so when it looks straight to me, then I just put it down. And honestly, if you get these wrinkles, it's fine. If you don't get it straight, it's not a big deal. Just pull up your tape and then lay it down again. Just be careful you're not doing too many times, because then you might lose the stickiness and then you'll get some bleeding through. Just make sure that's down. Then I go across the top short edge. Same thing, I kind of tack down one side first. Usually it's the side I'm holding, the loose end like this. And then I take a look, and then I can do a little bit of adjusting. And it looks good. I just press down. I really make sure to get these corners right here, because that's where I get the most bleeding. And sometimes even though I do this, I still get a tiny bit of bleeding through. I've seen people use rollers, but I haven't actually done that yet, so I just use my finger. So then we'll lay down the last edge, same principle, and then that should be it. That's essentially what I do to tape down my paper before I paint. And then now it's held down on all edges, and then I'm able to do a painting and then peel it off when I'm done. So that's all I do with my paintings using masking tape. So I hope this helps. I will leave links below to both the skinny masking tape, which I got off Amazon, and also this Pro Artist masking tape that I got off, and I'll link both websites where I got both of these. So hopefully that helps you. Please let me know if you have any questions at all, and I will be happy to answer them.